Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all the ships at sea. I was thinking this week of a subject that has actually struck me more than a few times over the years this puppet has been on this earth, and that would be technology, its misuse, and the ramifications thereof. I, for one, have long been a cautious skeptic whenever some new invention or innovation makes the news rounds of the day as the latest thing that is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And on that topic, it must be noted that the invention of the bread slicing machine in 1928 was a leap toward the overly processed loaves that masqueraded as bread for almost a century since. You see far too often in this puppet's observations the introduction of basically all modern technologies and methodologies since the advent of computers in the 1950s has 100% of the time been bastardized and commandeered for monetary gains, and far too often at the expense of human pain and suffering. Now, puppet, hold on a minute. Are you advocating that we all live like the Amish or buy into the Unabomber Ted Kaczynski's anti-technology brainwashing tactics? No, my viewers. But what I am advocating is the use of wisdom and caution whenever new computerized solutions or devices hit the mass markets. Back in the late 60s, a television show debuted that would later become an entire motion picture and merchandising franchise, none other than Star Trek. And anyone familiar with that series surely remembers the introduction theme music and the now famous quote from Bill Shatner, "Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before." Wow, if that didn't get our blood pumping with excitement back then, I mean, anyone with a pioneering spirit had to want what this TV series was selling. Now here we are over 5 full decades later, and one Elon Musk heads a company called SpaceX and has openly made known his deep-seated desire to colonize the planet Mars. Wow, who in their lives has not thought for a minute or two about what it would be like to populate Mars with humans and to create a living, breathing ecosphere on that planet? You know what, though? It will never happen, and here is why. Human greed and lust for power, plain and simple, along with the fact that life on Mars would literally be worse than Hades, only on a colder scale. Yep, if the frigid temperatures or unfiltered constant barrage of solar radiation didn't kill the first inhabitants of Mars, give it a month or two until egos and greed got involved. Remember back a bit over 2 decades ago when the high-definition television became the new standard and everybody and their uncle was buying new flat-panel sets like there was no tomorrow? Well, if you were a subscriber to either cable or satellite content at that time, you have to also remember the blatant money grab that went on as far as jacking up the pricing of channel packages that actually broadcast in 1080p visual clarity. Now, one could argue that these corporations had to invest monies into new cameras, recorders, and even entire satellites in space to enable all this to come about, and that cost had to be recovered some way, somehow. This puppet would not be in disagreement on that, but am saying that passing it all along to consumers was a stretch, especially considering the fact that those same corporations had been making money hand over fist up to that point and could have surely borne some or even all of those upgrade costs and still appeased the shareholders. But what one will almost never see whenever new technology rolls out is any goodwill effort to keep costs down to the consumer. Nope, stick it to them, and stick it to them hard. Ever gone to your local corporate grocery chain store in recent times and witnessed the volume of U-scan checkout lanes as opposed to the dwindling number of checkout lanes with actual human cashiers to handle the transfer of cash along with the bagging of your food items? Ever wonder how we got to this point, where you have to stand in long lines just to get a good old-fashioned person to actually wait on you, and to avoid the very real risk of being falsely accused of shoplifting and kidnapped to some back room whereby the store employees treat you like a convicted felon? Well, my viewers, I can tell you that it all began with technology and then it was rolled out without anyone actually asking for it, and all because some corporate bean counters lusted for more money in their pockets than those of the never-satiated shareholders. Case number one of the technology benefiting the corporation and basically no one else. Okay, my loyal viewers, if any of you have been to a physician, clinic, or hospital in the last few years, how many of you have been presented with their apps for your phone as a means of, quote, managing your account, consulting with a medical professional, and scheduling your appointments? Wow, yay! You mean I can do all of that plus more on your medical corporation's app? Sign me up! Not. Again, take caution here, friends and colleagues. The thing they are really trying to do with these apps is make a quicker connection to the money in your bank account or wallet. You know how normally your health insurance company will take a couple weeks to decide which portion of the inevitable bill they will or will not cover, and then they issue an explanation of benefits to you. Well, by the time that takes place, many medical corporations are already e-billing you for what they have decided is your portion to pay. Yes, before the insurer has actually told you, the patient, exactly how much you will be liable for, the doctor, clinic, or hospital will have already been hot on your trail for greenbacks, and sometimes in erroneous amounts. The lesson to learn here is that convenience with these apps and their use is almost always largely to the benefit of the service provider and almost always to the detriment of the patient. Please use caution here. Myself, I prefer good old-fashioned paper billing statements to be physically mailed to my home address, and that after the insurer has issued their explanation of benefits statement. Case number 2 of technology benefiting the corporations and basically no one else. Okay, my loyal viewers, I don't know about the state that you live in, but in mine, the Bureau of Motor Vehicles has now gone full-on paperless. Now, that all sounds good in theory. If the state government can save a few of my hard-earned tax dollars by not mailing each and every motor vehicle owner a yearly license plate renewal form through the postal mail, then why not? Well, allow me to say why not. You see, in times past, we would receive our license plate renewal form annually at our postal mailbox. We then had the option to either mail a check into the Bureau of Motor Vehicles and receive a new license plate or year decal back in the mail soon afterward, or we could simply take said form down to our local BMV office before the expiration date to renew our motor vehicle registration in person. Now we just receive a small postcard with a scannable Unicode symbol on it. The options now are to either scan that Unicode symbol, use a web link on your phone to register your motor vehicle online and pay with your debit or credit card over a web portal, or still to drive to the local BMV office and register in person as before. So what is wrong with that, you ask? Fair question, and this might come across as nitpicking, but I do have a few nits to pick on this matter. Why have we as tax-paying citizens still paying the same percentage of our salaries to the state coffers as we were in times of old, if not more, now being forced to gladly accept decreased service options, especially if we want to simply mail a check through the postal system and receive our license plate back in same fashion? What if you are a person without internet service? Then you are no longer allowed to mail in your registration renewal form. Something about that just smacks this puppet as wrong. On the topic of state offices and services, mention needs made of the Employment Services Division in my state. If you were laid off in times of a couple decades ago, you simply walked into your local employment services office, filled out paper form detailing your layoff, and you actually received personal service from a knowledgeable human being. Now our state has gone all web-based on those services. Again, you must have internet service to get your benefits at a time when you're financially hard hit, and with no live person to talk to if you have questions or make a mistake on your online registration process. In fact, our state purposely puts vague and misleading language in their online questionnaire in order to trip you up into making a mistake, in which case you are now another week away from receiving employment benefits for which you worked most of your life to be able to use in a time of hardship. Yep, you cannot make this stuff up, folks. I could point you to case after case where introduction of use of computers, online apps, and lack of human interfaces has and will continue to lead you to losing money, time, and possibly even your livelihood, but I will end for now. Good night, my loyal viewers, and sleep well.